a lot of what some people were feeling, particularly people within marginalized communities, is it felt like just in a sense, where it's, and I'm just painting the picture because hear what we're actually saying and not what you think we're saying.
Now help me understand, how can I be marginalized if I'm in the kingdom? How am I marginalized if I'm born again? You're supposed to judge, because y'all dang on show are judging this whole entire interview. What's up, everybody? I'm Quisha King Benton, and we're going all in. So let's get started. There are a couple clips, so let's just go ahead and get right into it.
That's good. I think to your point, I think a lot of what some people were feeling, particularly people within marginalized communities, is it felt like just in a sense, where it's, and I'm just painting the picture because hear what we're actually saying and not what you think we're saying. I think for them, there's this person who spews views that make life as a marginalized person more difficult.
I gotta stop you right there. Okay. She's trying to like black-splain it, basically. I think for them, there's this person who spews views that make life as a marginalized person more difficult. I want you to think about that statement for a second. So she is saying that Charlie Kirk was spewing these words that made marginalized Christian live a harder life. How can the world give me some type of identity that does not belong to me, that God didn't give to me? Why would I take on the world's marginalization, oppression, insignificance, inferiority, complexes, rape? Why would I take that on as a believer? I don't have to. I am free from those identity things. I don't have to, I'm not in your culture. That don't belong to me. But see, these people, they want to play both sides of the fence. They want to be in blackness. They want to be a part of the marginalized, but then they also want to be a part of the kingdom. Well, here's the thing about Jesus. He requires that you pick a side. You can't be in both. You can't serve the world and God at the same time. So you have to take a side. You have to be hot or cold. You can be over in the blackness. You can be woke. I'm all for the social justice. You can throw up that Marxist fist loud and proud. But the beliefs that come with that are antithetical to the kingdom. So how are you going to reconcile that? Blackness is just not mere skin color. Blackness is an identity. It's a belief. Blackness is a political identity, okay? It is not talking about your skin color. Not in the way they use it. That you don't provide any evidence for this racism that is causing all these marginalized people to live a harder life. How are words from a person that most people do not know making their lives harder? Charlie's not implementing policy. He's not a politician. He cannot change your life with a pen, which is typically how it is done these days. He said to himself, my biblical worldview does not align with the left, which many Christians say that. But if you're black, you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to draw a line in the sand and say, my faith comes before being black, comes before being from the hood, comes before being whatever you are, comes before all of that.
How does the Sermon of the Mount help me work through these difficult feelings? Let me call a friend and work through these difficult feelings. Like if I feel angry, if I feel mad, if I lack empathy, then that is something I need to deal with. And so I'm not invalidating the anger, but I am saying, I think as believers standing before God, we have to work through that stuff because that will show itself up in other relationships, not just with what happened to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I can kind of appreciate her saying, like, yes, we do need to work through these things. You should not let hate and resentment and bitterness sit in your heart. But y'all are still the same people up here saying that the slavery from 250 years ago is affecting you today. You're not explicitly saying it, but you're implying it by your marginalized communities, comments, and things like that. Marginalized by who? Y'all sitting up here, you go wherever you want to go. Black people in America are the most successful people, successful Black people in the entire world. Let me say this one more time. Black Americans are the most successful, prosperous people in the entire world. So all of this marginalization that you're talking about is nonsense.
For sure.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not even saying that I don't agree with that sentiment. Like I didn't feel that way I'm not saying I didn't feel that way
Correct.
to some extent, but there's some things we just need to leave in the chat group
Yeah.
Oh, really?
that don't need
Yeah,
to be made
for
public.
sure.
There's a place.
Yeah.
And I was having conversations. There's a place to say, man,
Same.
let's as we piece all this together, what information do you have? This person saying this. I don't need to always bring all of that out into the public and just spew it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people went wrong. The sentiment may have some validity to it.
Yeah.
What should be my witness?
Have you lost your mind? The sentiment that it was just because he's talking about the sentiment that Jackie Hill Perry just said, that some people feel that it was just for him to die. He is saying to you that behind the scenes, it's cool to say it behind the scenes.
Objective facts. They'll get mad at objective facts about slavery, Jim Crow and all that because their idol can't live in the same location as the truth.
Wow.
The light in their idol can't live, so they have to throw out. If you wonder why somebody don't like to talk about history and just denies it, because their idol can't live there.
Wow.
So
This is nonsense. Y'all are the ones that have the idol. How do I know? Because I had the idol. I worship my race. God delivered me from race worship back in 2018. I know all about it and I can see the signs. When you can, apart from politics, if somebody was to ask you, is murder wrong? You would say yes, murder of an the innocent killing of a human being is wrong. But when it get to politics, abortion, I don't know. When you start hemming and hawing. Why did it seem so hard for y'all to keep the boundary of sanctification and what God says in his word when it has to do with politics? You got to abandon the Bible. You got to do flips and tricks and jumping jacks and backflips to try to justify your position of being aligned with the left. Why do all that? Why not just vote with the party that most closely aligns with your biblical values? Because of race. Your race is your idol. And what he said is true. Your idol cannot stand in the same, it can't hold space in your head with the truth. So you have to let one go. And unfortunately, every last one of these people on this stage, on this topic, on this day, could not separate their idol from the truth. They are hypocrites in this instance. Let's look at what the Bible says about all of this stuff. John 7:24, do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. Do not judge by appearances. When Jackie says that, it's the marginalized and she's talking about white folks. She's talking about white people. Let's just keep it all the way a stack. That's what she's talking about. But the Bible says, don't judge by appearances. So just because George Floyd happened to be Black, I take offense to putting me, because I happen to have more melanin, to put me, my family, my husband, or anybody that I'm associated with in a category with George freaking Floyd. I reject it and I rebuke it. And I rebuke anybody who's trying to put me in the same category because we share high melanin levels. That's just like, well, you and George Floyd both drove cars, so therefore y'all are all you're pretty much the same. lies. You're putting your skin color before your faith. That is wrong. The Bible says that if a man don't work, he don't eat. The Bible does not command us to have dependency on the government. The Bible says for us to have dependency on God, total loyalty to God. The Bible wants us to go to God for our households, maintaining our household. He wants us to go to God, the Bible commands for us to go to him for our finances, for our health, for all of the things that the government tries to tell you that it's supposed to take care of. God says he wants to take care of that for you. Who are you going to trust? You going to trust the government to provide these things? Should we be pushing Christians to have more dependency on a government system that is not the kingdom government? Do y'all hear? Do you realize what you're actually pushing, advocating for, supporting? The last thing I want to talk about is Jackie Hill Perry and the revival that has happened after Charlie Kirk's martyrdom.
Or they misunderstand, why don't you think he's a martyr? And it's like, because I heard what he said.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's not that I don't appreciate his stances on abortion, on sexuality, on marriage.
Yes.
But it's also, I hear other things alongside that don't give martyr.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you hear how she minimizes? I hear, I can appreciate what he says about the killing of innocent life. I can appreciate the LGBTQ stuff. But it's the other stuff that I'm not going to tell you about. I'm not providing any evidence. I'm going to just insinuate, innuendo, a little slander here, no big deal. I'm just going to imply that he was spewing these hateful things that were so hateful. It was worse than the appreciation that she had for his acknowledgement of killing innocent. She is saying that his rhetoric outside of abortion and LGBTQ was so terrible, so hurtful, racist, anti-Christian, wrong, all the things. She doesn't even bother to tell you what it was.
That, I feel like he deserved it. I wasn't sad. Or I don't even want people to hear me saying, like, I don't think that he was a brother, because it's not my place to put him in a heaven or hell, right? I don't think
that is so cowardly. That is so cowardly and jellyback, and well, I mean, I can't put him in a heaven or the Bible says that we can righteously judge. We just can't be hypocritical in judging. You're supposed to judge, because y'all dang on show are judging this whole entire interview. But now I don't have a heaven or hell to put him in. I can't be the judge. Nonsense.
we just don't understand that. And I think sometimes what Christian nationalism does, it says, because we saying no, maybe saying no.
Provocative, and he was intentionally insensitive to marginalized people. He played about stuff, and when he named 3 black women, Michelle, particular subjects. You're playing about stuff that you shouldn't be playing about, that you shouldn't be trying to be provocative on. Let's just say black women. So when he named 3 black women, Michelle Obama, our justice, Supreme Court justice as well, and say, oh, they're just DEI hires. They don't deserve. They don't really have the
brain processing power
to be here. A mature Christian, I think, should, even if you have an issue with DEI and you think there are some excesses there, which we can have that conversation, you approach it differently when you understand the historical context of a people who throughout their history here have been demeaned and told that they were lesser. And in many instances, sometimes coming out the church, told genetically by birth, you are inferior intellectually.
First of all, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Michelle Obama Sheila Jackson Lee, and who else? Who else was he? Whoever, they admitted that they were DEI hires. I hope y'all know that. They said that they were DEI hires. That's why they were talking about them. Now, it is not right or fair for anybody to draw a conclusion that just because somebody says, oh yeah, well, these women are dumb, or they're ignorant, or they're stupid, I don't like them, that does not mean that they are racist. You can say that you don't like somebody. You can say that somebody is dumb. You can think that somebody is stupid and not be racist. It is wrong for you to attribute racism to something that just because somebody does not agree with because a white person does not agree with Black people, that means that they are racist. You jumped out the window on that one. You've gone too far. And the Bible is not, God is not happy when you are accusing people of doing something with no evidence. Because now one of y'all showed where Charlie was actually being racist. And if you showed him disagreeing with Black folks, especially Black women, that doesn't mean that he's racist either. I can disagree with you. I can even call you a name. Now, is that the best way to talk about somebody? Probably not. But it is also not the best way to handle somebody, to call them a racist because they disagreed with people of a particular pigment in their skin. Anyway, those are my thoughts about this ridiculous interview. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.